We're here at the Long Pasture Wildlife Sanctuary. I'm standing next to me is Director Ian Ives. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is just spectacular here, Ian.
It is. We're very privileged to have this place. We're very lucky. Yeah.
So tell us a little about where exactly are we,
Okay.
and about the mission.
We are right off of Route 6A on Bone Hill Road, and it's a 110-acre wildlife sanctuary that's managed by Mass Audubon. And the history of the sanctuary dates back to 1996, when a fellow named Sherman Parker, who lived on this property, gave his home, an endowment, and about 50 acres to start the sanctuary. Another family, the Becks, gave almost equivalent acreage, and together today we have the 110 acres that we have at the sanctuary. So prior to 2006, there was very little activity here. There was a trail network. It was open to the public, but there was no outreach. We weren't engaging the public. There were no educational programs. There weren't the things that you might expect from a Mass Audubon sanctuary, like a Wellfleet Bay Wildlife Sanctuary out in the Outer Cape. So when I started here in 2006, I was sort of charged with opening up the building first and foremost, accepting people, greeting people, engaging in outreach programs, educational programs for all ages, advocacy, conservation work, stewarding all the properties in the Mid and Upper Cape. A lot of different things, but these are things that weren't really being done prior to 2006 that are now being done on a full-scale, year-round basis.
That's wonderful. So when you say year-round, the trails are open. There's all these trails.
Yes.
How many trails do you have?
It's about 2.5 miles of walking trails here at Long Pasture. And this is our base of operations for the Mid and Upper Cape. So from here we oversee other sanctuaries, including Ashumet Holly, which is in East Falmouth,
Okay.
Sampson's Island, a place called Papanesset Spit, and then a place called Skunknet River Wildlife Sanctuary, which is in Barnstable. And so from here we engage in different activities and do a lot of different management at these other properties. But this is where we put our priority and most of our attention to.
Tell us about some of the programs.
Well, we've got now every year a little bit more to offer. Last year we started for the first time a kids drop-off program called Wild Arts and Ecology, which is an opportunity for, I think it's between 5 and 11-year-olds to come for half day with a full-time naturalist to engage in wild arts and ecology. And we take advantage of the harbor, we take advantage of other habitats at the sanctuary, we incorporate art and ecology, and it's the closest thing to a day camp that we have right now at Long Pasture, and it's really geared towards that age group. We've also started new programs such as aquatic exploration cruises, they're called, which are out of Hyannis. We charter one of Highline's fishing boats to go out into Lewis Bay and explore the marine ecosystem. We have traps that we pull up out of the water, like lobster traps, and we do a plankton tow, and we have a otter trawl and a scallop dredge and different things that allow us to pull things up and explore them, hands-on experiential learning on board the boat. And this is a family-oriented program.
Okay, I was just going to ask what the age, so
this
that's
is all family.
All ages,
yeah,
all family.
So this is our attempt to reach out to families.
That's fantastic. And that runs
runs on Thursdays through this month. It just finished up. They'll be back going again next year. So then we also have adult programming, which is more traditional for Mass Audubon. These would be bird walks and cruises. We have cruises out to the Elizabeth Islands and Cuttyhunk that we do in September. Very, very fun, very unique experience. We have more traditional adult programming, lectures. So now we're just trying to incorporate everything, because we really want to be able to reach out to all ages.
Right.
Yeah. And that's really what the sanctuary system is all about for Mass Audubon. Sanctuaries, first and foremost, are involved in outreach, education, programming. And so that's what we're really charged with here. And that's what takes most of our time.
How many volunteers do you have? When you say naturalists, are they work for Audubon, or it's all volunteer?
We have paid naturalists that are leading our programs.
Okay.
We also have volunteers helping with all sorts of different things, whether it's special events or, we have all sorts of ecological management, property management, chores that need to be done on a regular basis. We have naturalists that do help in education and programming as well, and docents such as John. So we have a variety of different needs. In the summertime, most of our staffing is volunteer staffing.
Okay.
In the wintertime, we shift gears a little bit, less programming, more planning, and we have less of the volunteers. But we have a need all year round for volunteers, and we're always looking for more.
Okay, great. And we'll cover the website after, because I assume that's how they can go to the website to become a volunteer.
Yes, or call us.
Terrific.
Or email us. Yeah.
And now the trail, I've been reading about these butterfly gardens.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
That's exciting. That was a project that was conceived about a year ago. It required some fundraising and some gifts to make possible, but through some generous donations and a grant, we were able to put together this butterfly mosaic trail, we call it.
Okay.
And it's similar to a traditional butterfly garden in that we've got native plants that are established in a plot intended to attract butterflies, but in our case, we decided instead of having it here at the visitor center, we would put it out in the fields where the butterflies already exist, and therefore like enhancing the habitat. So we have 10 plots or gardens that are scattered along about a 2 or 3/10 of a mile long trail out in the middle of the fields. And people can walk through and see each plot, and with the help of a guide, they can learn about the types of plants that you can plant in your own garden that attract butterflies. And these would be all native plants, native to the region, so that they wouldn't interfere with the native ecology of the native habitat. So the idea is that we'll naturalize the fields with new plantings and promote not just more butterflies, but all sorts of pollinators, birds, insects. And if you go out there now, most of what's buzzing around the blossoms are bees. The butterflies have moved on at this time of the year for the most part, and there's a lot of bee pollinators and hummingbirds, and so it's beautiful. Get a chance to show you for sure.
Terrific.
Yeah.
It's absolutely beautiful. And then other animals as well. We passed sheep and goats and red-tailed hawks. You mentioned that one was released. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the sheep and the goats we have, it's an agreement that I have with some local farmers from Dennis, Jason Beets and Jennifer Holloman, and they approached us looking for places to graze. And we said, we've got a lot of that.
Yes.
And so they have their livestock, mainly goats, but also sheep and pigs, and even some turkeys and chickens. They're all situated throughout some of our open fields, and they act like environmentally friendly mowers, organic mowers, if you will. They're out working, clearing the fields, keeping the shrubs back from encroaching into the fields. We want to maintain our fields. We don't want to lose them. They're very valuable for all sorts of purposes, for pollinators or for nesting birds. And across the region, there's many less open fields than there used to be. So we want to promote that. And the goats and the sheep are an inexpensive, ecologically friendly way to do it. And it's great because there's a lot of people that wouldn't necessarily otherwise come to Long Pasture. Now that they see goats, their eyes twinkle, and they often come just for the enjoyment of spending time with the livestock. And we have goat walks and some other activities, volunteer opportunities along the lines of animal husbandry as a result. So that's great.
And now you mentioned the Osprey as well.
Yeah, and the Osprey Project, we call it the Cape Cod Osprey Project, and this is a project that was conceived many years ago at the Wellfleet Bay Wildlife Sanctuary. Dennis Murley and Bob Prescott have been doing lots of work with ospreys, and we joined on and expanded the program and increased the number of volunteers involved. And what it is it's a volunteer program, or a citizen science program, we call it. Citizens can become involved in the work that we do. And it's as simple as monitoring a nest, an osprey nest near you, or a group of osprey nests in your neighborhood, and recording the data, specific data about certain highlighted events that take place during the summer in the osprey's life. So it could be the arrival of the ospreys from their winter ground. It could be the first sight of the female sitting in the nest incubating her eggs, or the emergence of the first chick from the nest, or the departure of all of the ospreys heading back south. And so all these events we now are able to record, and we catalog all the known nest locations as well. So we're getting an idea of the population of ospreys on the Cape. And we have about 225 nests now that we're monitoring. And just in the past 2 years of collecting this data, we know that about 88% of the osprey nests will fledge some young. And this is a great thing. It means that the Cape is a good, healthy environment for ospreys, and that there's probably more room for ospreys.
Good.
Yeah.
That's great news.
It's fun.
And now we talked about volunteering. Do you also have an internship type program or your citizen science opportunity?
For citizen science, we've got 4 separate projects, one of which was the Osprey Project.
Okay.
It's not a true internship program as it stands now, but it could be if there were college grads or grad students interested in working a practicum or an internship with us. We could arrange something like that. We don't have a formal program in place yet.
Okay. Great. Now, is there anything else you'd like to add at this time?
Well, I'm always eager to promote our upcoming programs.
Please do that. There you go.
The most fun program that's upcoming that we do annually and have been doing since the 80s is our Cuttyhunk and Elizabeth Island cruises. And these leave out of Woods Hole
Okay.
on an Ocean Quest vessel. And we head out on Sundays in the month of September for full day tours of Cuttyhunk and Elizabeth Islands. We have one tour that does both islands, Pennakees and Cuttyhunk, and two other tours earlier in the month that are just Cuttyhunk. And it's a natural history birding program with a lot of cultural history interspersed. If you've never been out to the Elizabeth Islands, they are very unique, little-known places, and just it's a blast from the past to get out and explore these places. So we're hoping that word will get out, and we'll have
Sure.
lots of participants for that one.
Excellent. And I do know you have the paddles, the kayak paddles.
Yeah, we also have kayak paddles that run through September.
Okay.
And those take place either here in Barnstable Harbor or at other locations around the Mid and Upper Cape. And those happen throughout the summertime. And we do have special events, and a great special event that's coming up in October is our Farm Day event,
Okay.
which gets back to our whole message of sustainable farming, the reason we have the goats here at the sanctuary. We bring in all sorts of local farmers that are involved in sustainable agriculture of one form or another, and that might include, fiber or from goats or from livestock. Might involve just local food, and there is a farmers market that takes place during the event.
And when is that?
This is now October 9th.
Okay, terrific. And then, Ian, all the information, why don't you give us the website
Okay.
and let us know how we can get more information?
Well, it's massaudubon.org.
Okay.
And then you can just type in Long Pasture on the
That's
homepage,
key, and
that's
then
key
that'll
to
bring you
find
the
sanctuary.
activities.
Yeah.
Well, Ian, thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure. My pleasure.